Good afternoon, Chuck here at Amish PA. Hope you guys are having a great day. Well, I have an unboxing and an assembly today, and it's one of those Vevor chicken coops. It's about a little over 13 foot by 9 foot, and it's got a peaked roof. I bought this, cost me $218. It's the model peaked roof. Came like this, free shipping. And it weighs, 53 kilograms. That's like 118 pounds, I think. Somewhere in that neighborhood. There's all the tubes. It's all those pressure fitting type tabs that you just insert and they pop into place. You can see those right here. Can you see that pretty good? Here's a roll of netting. That netting looks like it's plastic coated chicken wire. Doesn't look real heavy, but the roll's pretty heavy. There's the tarp. That's pretty heavy. I would say that's probably like the mid-grade tarp like you would buy at Harbor Freight. Not the low grade, but like the mid-grade. That'll probably last a couple seasons. Here's a second roll of the mesh. It looks like all the small parts are boxed in a separate box within the big box. Vevor Tough Tools Half Price Chicken Coop User Manual. It says, note, for invasion of powerful wild animals, raccoons, skunks, weasels, fox, wolf, dingoes, etc., please add additional strong fence to protect. Whole bag of zip ties, roll of wire. There's the bungees for the tarp. Lock, 2 sets. And I got all the pieces, they're all labeled. These are all labeled as G. This thing is labeled with an H. There's all the small hardware parts. Got some stake downs, end caps, some bolts. Not many bolts and things. I don't think it's going to be too difficult to put together. Everything is labeled here though. 2B. So it looks like they've done a good job of labeling things. Now if their manual, their instruction manual matches everything here, this should be a piece of cake. See, I have all my parts laid out. They're all organized. All except for 4 of these pieces were labeled. There were 4 tubes that weren't labeled, but there's only 5 varieties of them, so it's not hard to match them up. And we're going to take a look at the quantities of each one that we're supposed to have. Make sure we have all the quantities of everything. Everything in the booklet here is nice and neat. Very organized, all in order. I went through all the hardware parts, the bag of hardware, the 2 locks and all the hardware for the locks. Everything is here. Matter of fact, they put a couple extra bolts in, a couple extra screws over here, and there's absolutely nothing I see is damaged. Tools required, assembly time about 2 to 3 hours with 2 people. We'll see how this goes with 1 person. Another whole page of the parts, and actually a good picture of each part. Okay, tells you the letter and how many there are of each. I'm going to build this right out here, and I hope it's not a mistake, because I'm going to actually lift it over the fence here, and it's going to be put out there. You see where the A-frame is right there, and I'm going to put it around the A-frame. First thing we got to do here is assemble a 2A to a C and the C to the 2B. And these should be pretty easy. It's just those little tabs. Okay, that's together. Yeah, there. No nuts and bolts. There are 10 of these to put together. Okay, I have all 10 of those put together. Now we're going to go ahead and install or build the bottom frame just like it shows here. I need 4 of those parts that I just put together, and I need a couple F's. couple G's, and the 4 E's. So I got the 2 F's right here, the 2 G's, the 4 E's, and I got 4 of the number 1 pipes. There's only 4 of those, so that's easy. So I'm going to go ahead and take an E, one of those previous put together parts, to an F, another one of those parts, back to another E. We're going to take an E. Now the E has to go this way. Attach that to an F, like that. Just make sure that your corners are pointing towards each other. Make sure your middles are pointing up, obviously. What we have to do now is take 4 of the 1s, the only 4 1s that there are, with 2 of the G's. Here are the G's. And those are going to be the widths. Like that. Put this one in this end. Right, so now you're getting an idea how large this thing is. 9 feet 10 inches and 13 feet long. 910 by 13. And it gives you little blown up diagrams here how to attach these things together. Okay, step 3, install the column according to the part number. Now the only thing I don't know about here is if these tabs, these little buttons, if they're going the right way, because this can go either way. Step 4, install the beam according to the part number in the picture below. That was 4 more of those big long pieces that I assembled originally in step 1. So I have to go ahead and take those. And I need 1, 2, 3, 4 D's and 2 H's as connectors. 4 D's, that'll be these guys here. So you can see right here that I have to turn this upright tube the other direction. So this has to go this direction, and it's got to go towards the peak this way. That didn't take much to do. Okay, pop that one on. So let's put that one on. Now we're ready to put those, or 4 more of those long pieces together here. I'm going to put it into the center column first, because this center column wants to keep tipping over. So hopefully I can hold it. There we go, just like that. Now I'm able to hold that center piece from moving around too much, and attach that in like that. She's tipping, but when I get this next piece in, that should take care of that. Much sturdier now. And it tells you right here that if you find that D is not installed in the right direction, please rotate and adjust the angle of installation tube 3. So it tells you that if you put it together wrong. Step 5, install the top surface according to the part number in the figure below. So now we're putting in the peak here like this. So I need a 4, a 4, and a D. And here's a blown up of the illustration. And that would be for the end wall right here. And for the middle, they have a blow up down here for the middle piece. And now obviously the center, you want your center this way with this pointing towards the center of the coop. Now I'll go ahead and do the other end, then I'll come back and we'll do the center together. And the center is a 4, and an H. And here's the H bracket here. So that's going to have to go like that. We're getting there. Got the framework out here next to the A-frame. Actually rolled it out, but I rolled it all the way across the pasture here, out to here, and she held up really well. Give you a close-up of some of the welds here. They're actually really nice. Ah. I think the peeps are hungry. Let's take a walk back in. I'll show you how I put that up over the fence, or where I put it up over the fence. And then we'll get working on the door. I quit working yesterday because it started raining. But before it got raining too hard, I put it up over the fence. I did it right here. Remember, we're building it right here. And all I did was bring it up, put one long end up here on either side of the gate, slid it up over, and it rolled over the top. It held up well, and I rolled all the way across the field back there to get it to where it needs to be. So in order to do the bottom of the door here, I need a D4, a D7, and a D2. The door looks like it's two parts. The door itself has two sets of hinges, two locks, so it's like a split door, like a Dutch door. But the frame is all one piece, obviously. D4 right here, D7, and a D2. I just need to snap this together. Already got the bottom in. Here, I just need to snap this part in over here. So there's the bottom of the frame. Let's see, the top needs a D3, a D7, and a D1. Now we can just put the top and the bottom together here. There's the door frame. To build the doors, let's build the top door first. A D6, a D8, and a D5. And see, you can see how they diagram this. You know, a lot of times, a lot of thought doesn't go into these diagrams, the assembly instructions. But if you take a look at this, they put the numbers on the inside. So this is a D6. So the door has all the numbering on the inside. Nothing to confuse you. A nice blow up of the handle and the latch here. And they do the same thing for the bottom. So everything's nice and laid out. Somebody put a lot of thought into these directions. Oh, we do got one little bend right there. I don't think it's going to take much here to fix this. Now we're going to tap these plugs in, keep water out of the tubes. I'm just going to take two of the hinge pins now, and we'll put our hinges in. Let's see how this works. Okay, it sets on the top of the bottom one. There. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll build the bottom door now. Those 12 black plugs that we had in the beginning, those were all for the door and the door frame. We'll take it out to the coop itself. Let's take a look at our directions before we go. The door goes right in the peak. These straps here actually go around the frame of the structure itself, and the strap part goes against the door. Now we just need to tighten down our straps up here, and the straps go on like that. They go over the pole, and the opens ends go over the door. And there's just a carriage bolt that goes through. So you just got to put a nut on. You don't need a screwdriver or anything. And there's 4 of those. 2 for the bottom and 2 for the top. Okay, we're going to be attaching the latch here now. That just goes on. It points to the outside. Make sure that this, you can see it right here. This has to butt up against the post here in order for your latch not to fall behind. So make sure that's on the right way. It just attaches with 2 little bolts. That's how the latch should work. Now we just need to attach our little arm there. That just screws on here. And that nut does move, so you can tighten that. If you see my door on earlier in the video, it's because when I checked the video, it was I was pointing into the sun and it wasn't picking it up very good. But that's your latch. Okay, moving along here, we're going to go ahead and cut our mesh. It says installation of top mesh. So it looks like that goes all the way around from ground over the top back to the ground again. It says the mesh can be pre-cut to 6 by 1 meters. And I need 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. We'll be back when you get all those pieces cut. All right, we just zip tied the bottom of the mesh to the bottom rail here. I overlapped over here probably about 2 inches. And now we're just going to take this roll and throw it up over the top. I'm going to pull it tight here a little bit. And we'll zip tie this. I just want to keep my overlap here so we can weave wire through here to hook these together. That looks good there. There. And you can see the overlap. So we're just going to weave that green wire through the seams. This gives me an idea how straight I am here. So I'm going to run right up from here to there. This is the most tedious part of this whole thing. Here, we're just on the other side now. I'm just going to pull it over. Make sure I'm overlapping here on the last piece. I'm just going to go ahead now and finish zip tying this piece on. Down here I just pulled it underneath, and we'll take a pair of cutters later and cut that extra mesh off. Now over here you can see I have the mesh right over top of this rail here. I'm just going to use one strap on here just to hold it. I don't want to pull this so far over that I'm losing my overlap down here on this other end. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that there, put one over here to hold it. So we got the second run of mesh done. I got it zip tied to the poles, but right now we're going to take the wire. This is a vinyl coated wire, and we're going to lace the 2 runs here together. So that's enough to get me up from the bottom to here. I'm going like every 3 inches. There, got this laced together. I just got to go ahead and do the rest of the seams. While I'm over here, might as well cut these ends off on these zip ties. Cut your ends off on every run of the mesh that you do. That way these ends of these zip ties aren't snagging in your new net. Okay, that should give you an idea of how much time it's going to take you to put this mesh on. The zip ties, the weaving between the pieces, that's where all your time's going to be. I'm just using zip ties along this upright column here and along the rafter here. I'm not going to be weaving the wire through. It's holding really well. I zip tied this side, then I'm zip tying this side also, so they're overlapping each other. The first one zip tied here, just this piece. This zip tie here is zip tying both of them together around the pole. So that looks like that's doing a really good job there. And I'll do the same thing up down the poles over here. There, just ran a piece of wire underneath, wove it through a little bit, and basically underneath this netting here across the top, just gives it a little bit more support so it doesn't sag as much. We got the first bottom layer of mesh installed here. Now we're going to go ahead and do this next piece here in the peak. But I'm going to run some of this wire from the top of the mesh up to the poles here. Tighten this up a little bit. There, that really tightens that bottom layer up here. And it's trying to get this relatively even across here. I'll go 7 blocks. Let's go down the other end and do that other end. Got that up. I'll zip tie up along the rails. Then I'll come back to you when I'm ready to cut this off. That was easy enough, just a lot of snipping. Now I'm just going to go ahead and weave a wire down through here where the seam is. I'm going to weave this in 2 pieces. This is just too long for one run. So I cut them about 5 foot each. I'm going to tie that around the pole. It'll help hold those meshes together also. This is really where all your time is going to be, is zip tying and mesh weaving here. Over here on the end, I just went around the pole. All right, onto the front. They found a place they liked, I guess. Now to do around the door like this, I'm gonna go right across the door, but I'm gonna zip tie it to the frame first. I don't want to see another zip tie for about 10 years. A lot of zip ties. All right, we got it zip tied all the way around the frame. And now I'm going to do a zip tie it to the door. Then I'll cut in between. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cut in between. Let's see if I got them all. Oh, something's still catching here. Here we go. All we got left now is the top piece. That's going on next. Then of course the tarp. Then I gotta get these clowns down and get them in their coop. What's the chance of me getting them down? Not much, huh? Cut my last piece for the door. The last piece of mesh for the entire project. These rolls of chicken wire get to be a pain when you get down to the last 15-20 feet of them. They're just so wound and they have such memory to go back to round. It's just hard to work with. And I'll go through this X here. I'm just tucking the ball through the mesh a couple times. Well, she's all done. I got a couple of modifications I want to do. Since my turkeys like to roost up here, if I don't get them in before dark, they end up here. You saw that a couple times. I'm going to put a 4x4 underneath the middle of that one, down here onto a base, and I'll cut a groove on top of the 4x4 so it sits up here and the post sits down inside the groove so it can't move side to side. And then I'll probably zip tie it, screw a couple big zip ties on it over the top. That way it'll hold that. Plus I'll put some roosts onto the 4x4. I'll just run some 2x4s perpendicular to the 4x4, and that'll give them some roosts if I get them inside. Well, thanks for coming along. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Gave you some ideas about the Vevor chicken coops. They call them chicken coops, chicken enclosures, whatever you want to call them. They really don't have a coop. For $218 for it's almost like 13 by 10 in that neighborhood. I don't think you could really go wrong. So I'm pleased with it. It went together easily. Very time consuming with the mesh and the zip ties, but the directions were excellent. The door seems very solid. Everything looks good on it. There are some stakes that you can put here, but if you're going to get serious about this, you'd put it onto a base, a wooden base or something, screw it down, or get some good like trampoline anchors and put them next to each leg, and then tie each leg to that. They do give you those little tent stakes that we saw in the beginning. They're not going to hold it down. They'll just hold it from sliding left and right and front and back. Again, I'm pleased. I don't think you're going to go wrong. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye. Get going. You don't need to be up there. Come on.